I didn't know that this was something he wanted me to talk about. So I just threw a bunch of slides together here at the beginning about
Well,
what aging is.
well, we wanted you. I just had to put some sort of topic in, or otherwise Dr. Krieger and Dr. Naria wouldn't have showed up. So
This is a picture from when I was featured in Popular Science magazine.
I
Um,
thought
That
it was
picture's badass.
I thought it was pretty cool.
I thought
yeah,
it was very cool.
I was shocked. I was blown away. I remember when the magazine was coming out and I was in the airport walking down towards my flight and I walked by a convenience store and I saw my picture inside the store and that was it. I was like really shocked because I had no idea they were going to edit my picture like that. But okay, so let me. I want to start off with just because of the fact that last time. By the way, a lot of you hopefully saw me talk 3 months ago here for the same group, and so I'm going to try not to duplicate a lot of that stuff. But in a minute, I'll show you how to get to a video of that presentation so you can hear about that. But that was a 2-hour presentation, and I have so much to talk about. I could spend like 10 hours talking. So I'm going to try not to overlap too much here. But let me just go to the next slide because I talked about it the last meeting about aging is a disease. I consider aging a disease, but I didn't want to spend a lot of time doing it. But now that Dr. Clearfield sent this thing about me speaking on aging, I thought I'd just throw these in. But it's a big, like the question about is aging a disease, it's a big tug of war. Okay. There's people that say yes, people say no, and this is mostly the FDA versus research scientists that want to get funding for research. Go to the next slide. It'd actually be just animated, but yeah. So no. So you went too far. So this is why you doing the buttons are going to be hard. You don't want to push the button until I say push the button, but you've already gone like 4 slides too far forward.
Then there's a little arrow. There's a little thing right on the where to go to click it back. So I can't even.
I just
I'm on slide 3, I think.
yeah. Um, we can stay there. I mean, it's like
Okay.
the point what I was trying to say in this one is that there's a lot of definitions of aging, but one of them is, and the one that's the toughest to deal with is that anything that's different from normal that affects human life is considered like a disease. Okay, and so the problem is that aging is normal, so we can't call it a disease according to the FDA and other groups because it is not different from normal. Okay, so what I wanted to point out was that there's, one of the things that humans have is our cells can only divide a limited number of times, and that's something that I discussed at our last meeting 3 months ago, and I discussed why and all that kind of stuff. But the fact is that lobsters, tortoises, humpback whales, clams, and some fish and some birds don't have this problem. Their cells will divide a limited number of times. And what I'm trying to do is there's a lot of microorganisms too that could come out of this heading, but I'm trying to focus just on life forms that reproduce sexually, also are not made up of a colony of cells that when you can separate them into 2 halves, they can each grow into an organism. So the organism depends on all the cells of the body, not just some of them. So when we look into those categories, there are animals that don't have the problems that humans do. Okay, and the only animals that do have the problems that humans do are other primates, dogs, cats, horses, sheep, pig, and deer. All the other animals have an entirely different aging process. So it's like aging is considered normal within our species, but it's not considered normal throughout all species or among species. Okay, so one of the things that humans, as I said, our cells can only divide a limited number of times. Animals on the right don't have this problem. We cannot. So when our limit runs out, when our cells are divided a limited number of times, our cells can no longer continue to repair our wear and tear, and that's how we repair most of our wear and tear, is by cell division. When a cell gets damaged, we will kick that cell out of the way by having another cell divide that replaces that cell. But the key is that because our cells can only divide a limited number of times, every time some cell has to divide to replace that killed cell, that accelerates the aging process, okay? Because it's telomere biology, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Telomeres are things that give us that limited number of times that our cells can divide. Okay, so we cannot repair our wear and tear once we reach our limit. The reason why we have this limit is because our telomerase gene is shut off, and that's not true in lobsters, tortoises, humpback whales, clams, and some birds and fish. And as a result, when the telomerase gene gets shut off, our telomeres get shorter every time the cells divide. And as a result, we age. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in the slides that I was originally just going to show before I added these slides. Go to the next slide. Okay, so you're actually not showing my animation. But go ahead. There is some animation, but not all of it.
Getting not true. There we go.
Yeah, okay, so the other thing about aging, the FDA would tell you, is that aging isn't measurable. And you know what? They're right, because we have no way of measuring aging. The only way to really measure aging is to actually reverse it. And since nobody's ever reversed it, we can't measure it yet. You can't measure the slowing down of aging because aging isn't a constant rate thing. It's changing all the time. We go through big jumps in terms of our aging. So if you want to measure your aging by some biomarker for 6 months, and then take some treatment and then measure it again for another 6 months, you might find out you got older or younger, but it's just completely random because it's not a linear function in humans. Okay, so aging isn't measurable. Go to the next slide. Now, there are a lot of biomarkers of aging, and this is showing a lot of them. Hand grip is one of my favorites, hand grip strength. But go to the next slide. Let's see if the animation works here. It's just a little slow. Okay, so yeah, so we're going to have lots of trouble in this presentation because of the animation is not working. But all those letters are supposed to now line up into big letters. But these are 4 of the most common age biomarkers that exist right now. And the key is that, yes, they are biomarkers of aging because they correlate with aging. But if you reverse those biomarkers, that doesn't mean you reversed aging. It only means you reversed the biomarker. And, a lot of people aren't going to walk into your offices and say, I want to have my aging cured, meaning I want to go back to looking, feeling, and behaving like I was 25 again, because that would be considered kind of like grounds for going to a loony farm. But everybody actually dreams of that, okay? And so when, because of my field, I talk to a lot of people that say, yeah, they really want to go back to it, and they want somebody to find a way to do that, to go back to being, feeling, looking, and behaving 25. Okay, so we can't measure aging. And so go to the next slide, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. But we do know when we look at Betty White when she was 25 and when she was 85, we know which photo was taken first, okay? And it's not measurable. We can't put a handle on it, but do we need to measure it? We don't need to measure it because we all know. And so if somebody could come up with some way of turning the picture on the right to the picture on the left in real life with Betty White, I'm sorry she's passed away. It would have been great to have her be the person that walked out on stage someday and looked 25 again, look, feel, and behave. And when that happened, there'd be no questions. Nobody's going to say, yeah, where's the data? Where's the measurement? They're going to know that that's thing. So maybe we can't measure it, but we don't need to measure it to know it when we actually succeed at doing it. And so reversing aging is really the only way we're ever going to get to a point of actually knowing what aging is. Or like, is it a disease or not? Okay, so go to the next slide. Let's see. So that's aging. Go to the next one. That's reversing aging. That's the Betty White test, I call it. Go to the next slide. Okay, so how can we how can this side, where we're saying aging is a disease, how can they win? Okay, and so this is something that I've spoken about at many conferences, including A4M and AMG. Go to the next slide. Because I have to agree with the FDA. You know, aging isn't measurable. It is normal in our species, and so it's going to be really hard. So instead of like, so the way to actually show that it's the disease is to actually cure aging. Okay, but use the Betty White test as a measurement to do so. Okay, go to the next slide. So we measure, we start off by having the investigational treatment, and that can be a therapy, a pill, or nutraceutical, whatever. But we test it on an aging-related disease. If we think we have something that can actually reverse aging, turn like Betty White in from an 85 to a 25, we test it on not aging, we test it on like Alzheimer's or dementia of some kind or some other kind of biomarker. And then we also, at the same time, monitor the Betty White test. Go to the next slide. So monitor the best, and when we all see somebody like Betty White walk out on stage, and we all know, there's no question about it, we now have a measurement of aging, because whatever the therapy that we use, or the treatment that we used, had to measure something else, and that measurement is actually now going to be a bona fide measurement of aging, because it actually did cause reversal of aging. And when we actually do have people walking around that are 85 years old, looking, feeling, behaving 25 again, people are going to say, well, then we're not going to be it's not going to be normal. There's going to be some people that have the disease and some that don't, and so we can call it a cure. Those people, you know, Betty White there and others were cured, and everybody is going to say aging is a disease. Okay, so I always say, when we cure aging, everybody will call aging a disease, and maybe we can do that faster than we'll ever get the FDA to agree that aging is a disease. Okay, so that's all I had. Now I wanted to get back onto the presentation I had originally just planned. I just threw those slides in for because of Bill Clearfield's post. Go to the next slide. Okay, so at the last time I talked about the what, the why, and the how, and a little bit of the how not of aging. And today I'm going to talk about mostly on just how not of aging, or how not to age. And I'm going to do something that I never ever do, and that's I'm going to market some products. Okay, this will be a first, because I'm oftentimes heard on stage saying I do not market products or anything like that, but I do believe in the company that I'm going to talk about today. I do believe they have a lot of products that really are good at helping with maintaining healthy telomeres. Okay, so go to the next slide, because those people that missed my last talk, they can go to my website. This is it's www.sierrasci.com. I thought I had that on here, but go to the next slide, because it's going to scroll down. Yeah, it's not working. Okay, so yeah, go back. Well, if the animation was working correctly here, you would see that the website would have scrolled, and then you would see a red circle around the button that takes you to all the videos that I have. And one of those videos is the video of me speaking 3 months ago to your group. So the bottom line is, I'm going to skip a lot of what I said last time, just get to the point. Telomeres are at the tips of our chromosomes. They are equivalent to ride tickets at an amusement park. Every time our cells divide, we lose a ticket. That's why our cells are limited. We're born with 100 tickets. We lose a ticket like every 2.5 years, or on average, because before we're actually born, we lose at a much faster rate. But when we lose our last ticket, our cells can no longer function, and we die. Okay, and so that has put a limit of, when we do the math on telomere shortening, and the rate of telomere shortening occurs because it's all dependent on the rate of cell division. You have to have a basal level rate of cell division, because the example I like best is like when blood's flowing through your blood vessels, you have a pretty much consistent rate of wear and tear, stripping off endothelial cells and stuff like that. And that's okay because you have other cells that can divide and replace those endothelial cells. But every time that happens, you lose a telomere. That rate of wear and tear in our blood vessels is pretty standard. Okay, and so when we measure that and then measure the rate that we lose telomeres, that tells us that we have this theoretical maximum of 125 years. I hope the next link works. Click this slide again. Let's see. Not every slide is showing. Yeah, okay, good. So, wow, this is, so it's even distorted. Okay, so this is actually corroborates with other studies that didn't use anything to do with telomere shortening rates or rates of cell division. They used demographic studies and population studies and statistical theory, and they came up with the same exact number. They came up with that humans have a theoretical maximum of 125 years. So that's pretty good. That they had no, in those other studies, they had no idea why, but telomere shortening in biology has been the first thing that actually explains it, okay, because it comes up with the exact same number, 125 years. And for those of you that think that Jeanne Calment is a woman who supposedly lived to be 122, it's now known that she actually was replaced by her daughter, who was trying to avoid paying inheritance tax. And so she pretended to be her mother, and she didn't really live to be 122. Both of them together didn't even live. Yeah, maybe both of them added together lived to be 122. There, of course, there was overlap, but nobody has actually lived to be 120, and that's because we all accelerate our rate of telomere shortening by poor lifestyle choices and poor genetics. Okay, and so nobody's ever lived to be 125. And as far as I'm concerned, when somebody does live healthy longer than 125, even live unhealthy longer than 125, we will have, that's when I'll say that we have cured aging. But I hope somebody passes the Betty White test at the same time. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so that what I just showed tells us that we put a limit on our lifespan. Okay, that's why there's a limit on our lifespan, but it doesn't really explain why we see all the changes that we see in all of us as we age. Okay, we can look at all the pictures on this screen right now of each of us attending this talk, and we can estimate a person's age because we know that there's some synchrony to the way all of us age. Okay, and this is going to be explained by the fact that telomeres, not only do they limit our lifespan, they also have they have all the hallmarks of what are called enhancer sequences. Before I explain that, let me just say here's 5 references, and I'm just using the PubMed references instead of the whole reference thing. And I know people can't write these things down, but everybody will have these PowerPoint presentations available to anybody. You can click on these links and go to the publications when you get them. But all these publications have shown that telomeres have all the hallmarks of what are called enhancer sequences. Okay, so what is an enhancer sequence? Let's see if these animation work here. Okay, go ahead and click to the next slide. That black bar that you see below the links, that's a genome, the DNA, the nuclear DNA. Can you try clicking again to go forward? I want to show it. There's going to be some animation here on that line. Is it not working? All right. Okay, so good. Okay, so on a chromosome, there's going to be a gene. Click it again. Go to the next. Every gene is controlled by a promoter that turns the gene on or off. I like to refer to them as dimmer switches because a lot of time I speak to non-professional doctors and scientist audiences. Okay, and then go to the next slide or next. So upstream, and one of the main ways that genes are regulated in humans is that there will be something called an enhancer sequence that can be way upstream. Go to the next slide. And I'm demonstrating that this is way upstream, thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes, of bases away from the gene, shown by the dots, the dashes. Okay, so this enhancer sequence is a long ways away. Okay, go to the next slide. And so this enhancer sequence has an ability to regulate that dimmer switch or that promoter by actually the DNA folding over. Go to the next slide. Proteins will bind to the enhancer and bind to the promoter and cause that gene to turn on. And if this was animated, you'd see that blue arrow going right to left, back and forth, but it's not doing it. Okay, so that's what an enhancer sequence is, and that is really, really common. In my last talk, when I talked 3 months ago, I explained that enhancer sequences are so vague that they're just about anything. There's almost all DNA plays roles of enhancer sequences. Okay, but what is really most notable, go to the next slide, is that telomeres, okay, go to the next slide, telomeres actually have more hallmarks of being enhancer sequences than most DNAs that exist that are real enhancer sequences. Okay, so now the telomere will fold over, go to the next slide, and turn the gene on. Go to the next slide. Yeah, just like the regular enhancers do it. So telomere, I showed you, I think, several links to show that this is actually something that a lot of people have now seen. I've known this for 30 plus years because I've been studying gene expression, and when I first started studying telomeres, I recognized right away that it has all the hallmarks of an enhancer sequence. Okay, so now the thing is that as telomeres get shorter, they are less capable of actually acting as enhancer sequences, which distinguishes them from regular enhancer sequences. Go to the next slide. Okay, so this is out of my second or third book, I forget, but this is, again, okay, so we got this showing up in the top right. We've got a telomere, and then we have 3 different genes. 2 of them are turned off, and 1 is turned on. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so the telomere folds over and turns that gene that's on to off. Okay, go to the next slide. And then it also can turn the second gene that was off, it can turn that on. It has the ability to do both. Okay, go to the next slide. But when telomeres get short, they can't do it anymore. Okay, they can't reach as far and stuff. And so it affects the epigenetics. Okay, so the one thing, so if I was to talk about what aging is, I would say the one and true thing about what aging is, it's a change in our epigenetics that is associated with aging. Okay, so when we age, like 30, 40 years ago, I was doing studies of looking at gene expression from cells from old people versus young people, and I could put together a great little model. And I even published it on papers published back in the 1990s, where I showed that I could devise an epigenetic profile of an old versus young person. And then later I was able to show that I could reverse those things by lengthening and shortening telomeres of human cells in petri dishes by gene therapy of telomeres. Okay, so go to the next slide. Okay, so this pretty much, this ability of the telomeres to act as enhancer sequence explains why we see the changes that we see in all of us as we age. And I want to point out, this is not a theory, this is a fact. Even if there was other things going on, we know for a fact that the telomeres do play a role in turning genes on and off, and they change with their ability to do it changes with telomere lengths. There might be other things that are going on, but we do know that telomeres definitely play this role. Okay, go to the next slide. All right, and just bottom line is, no matter what else we do to cure aging, aging will never be cured unless we also solve this telomere shortening problem. Okay, so when I speak to audience, everybody's saying, yeah, well, what about mitochondrial dysfunction, oxidative stress, all these other things that cause aging? They might all be true. But if we solve those problems, we still have the telomere shortening problem. And we have to solve that problem because that's the one and only absolute control of aging that exists that we have to do something about, or we can never solve aging. Okay, so go to the next slide. All right, so how do we solve it? And this is where I'm going to start getting into some marketing because I can't do it without talking about some of the products. But we first realized that if every time a cell divided, telomeres got shorter, how is it that our children are born with longer telomeres than we have? And so we started with the idea back in the 1990s that there must be something in our reproductive cells, the primordial germ cells, that prevent telomere shortening in our reproductive cells, the cells that produce our sperm and our eggs. So we did the research and we discovered, go to the next slide, we discovered this enzyme called telomerase that exists inside of only our reproductive cells. This is the green squiggly thing is the DNA. Telomere is made up of DNA just like the rest of the chromosome is. So it's a specific sequence of TTA-GGG repeats. Okay, now telomerase is like shown as a factor here. It binds to the tip of the chromosome, the telomere, and it lengthens it. Okay, so go to the next slide. Okay, so telomere shortening and lengthening is like a tug-of-war. I use this tug-of-war analogy for practically everything. It's amazing how much everything in biology and science and everything is a tug-of-war, even in politics and the FDA. But click on the next one. Okay, so I'm blowing up a telomere here. So the telomere is that little orange thing at the tip of the chromosomes, but now I've expanded it. Go to the next slide. The shortening and lengthening is like a tug-of-war. Okay, and so the animation here would show in the next slide that you'll see the tug-of-war, people moving back and forth. Go ahead, keep going, and click one more time. So the only way to lengthen telomeres is with the enzyme telomerase. Okay, there's lots of things that are shortened, but in all of our other cells, we only have shorteners. And if you want to know why we don't have telomerase in all of our other cells, watch one of my other videos called, or several videos on why we age. The evolutionary reason why we never evolved a way not to age when it's so bad for us. Same reason as why we never evolved a way not to get cancer, heart disease, inflammation, dementia, things like that. It's beneficial to the survival of the species to eliminate the longer lived, meaning the longer lived are anybody that has already raised their young. And it's also an explanation of why women live longer than men in 95% of all mammalian species. It's because women are more important to raising young than men are. Okay, but it's getting off subject there. But the point is that in all of our cells, we have shut off the telomerase gene, and the reason it happens, evolution is not a force; it's just a result. But the reason it resulted that way is because it was a great way to eliminate the longer lived, so that the offspring could reproduce. But okay, so if the animation worked, you would see those people all pull in to shorten the telomeres to nothing. Okay, go to the next slide. And this is where I start marketing. Okay, so what I want you to notice is that there's, I think, eight people there pulling to shorten your telomeres. Okay, this is a product that I am a really big fan of. Okay, it's sold by Touchstone Essentials. Sonny Nguyen will talk more about the products in specific, but I'm going to talk about the benefits to telomeres in terms of these products, and this is why I like these products. Okay, so glucocontrol is a product that actually converts sugar into fiber. Sugar is bad for you. It induces inflammation and oxidative stress. But when you take something like glucocontrol to convert that sugar into fiber, which, fiber is good for you, you lose somebody pulling on the shortening side. So hopefully this works. Click the next slide. See if the far left person disappeared. Yeah, great. Okay, so that person disappears if you take something like glucocontrol. So you have less people pulling to shorten your telomeres, okay, which I call actually accelerated telomere shortening. Okay, go to the next slide. We're going to go through. Okay, this is another product I really like. It's called they're called Pure Body and Pure Body Extra, but they contain molecules called zeolites, which are really good at binding to heavy metals and removing them from your body, and not just heavy metals, but other kind of toxins too. So this is something that again will remove somebody from the left side of the tug of war. And go ahead and let's remove that person now. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so I like Touchstone because they have an array of products that nobody else has. I mean, you'll find some other companies that have some of these products, but nobody has all these products. And I've been just blown away by the fact that they really all play a role in telomere biology. And so when I first, I first heard about Touchstone Essentials because they contacted me and asked me if they could, they wanted to create a product for lengthening telomeres, and did I have anything that they could, that I could provide them? And I said, so I told them, you'll see later, I told them what to do, but they've been so focused. Touchstone Essentials, headed by Eddie Stone, who's the founder and CEO, he's very interested in extending and making people happier and healthier, and not so much into profits, which, you know, is it's they don't make a lot of money, but they do have a lot of great products. Okay, so so fulvic is the active ingredient in Shilajit. A lot of people, I've known about Shilajit forever because it's a great anti-inflammatory, but it's just dirt from the Himalayas and has lots of side effects. Okay, fulvic is, the fulvic acid is purified from the Shilajit, and so as a result, removes another person from the left side of the tug of war. And if you advance the slide and remove the next person, we can go to the next thing. Okay, so another product is called Parashield. This is a product that gets rid of parasites and stuff like that. There's one exceptionally good molecule in there called wormwood that actually I've done a lot of so I do what I call critical meta-analysis of peer-reviewed studies a lot to really find out if products are real or not real. Are they fake? Are they just pretending? And I think this is a really great product, okay, as a result of my critical meta-analysis with peer-reviewed studies. And anybody interested, I do have a podcast called Up One, where I do critical meta-analysis of peer-reviewed studies to explain to audiences what's actually real and what's not real. And I never market anything. This is a first for me to market these products. Okay, so and Bill Clearfield told me that this is not a CME conference today, so I'm taking advantage of that. Okay, so Parashield, again, will get rid of parasites. Parasites are very unhealthy, cause lots of damage to cells, and when you get damage to cells, you have to divide other cells to replace them, and that causes telomere shortening. Go to the next slide.
Can I just make an anecdotal comment, Bill? I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Oh, go ahead.
my daughter was in Kenya for 5 years, and she contracted a severe case of malaria. She had hepatitis, she had pneumonia. She was in the ICU in Nairobi Hospital, which is quite the place. And she was there for a week before I even knew about it. And when I got there, I went and I got wormwood or artesima. That's the did I say it right? I got wormwood for I gave it to her for a day and a half, and the malaria was cleared
Wow. Okay.
in a day.
I, I've read tons of peer-reviewed from PubMed, peer-reviewed studies on wormwood, and I know that whenever you do a whole like meta-analysis, you're going to find some say one thing, some say another. I do what's critical meta-analysis, which means I look at the data analysis, I look at the experimental design, I look at the statistical theory and all this kind of stuff, and after I get done, there's only one pile, and that says wormwood works.
Mhm.
Okay, so now I'm showing a bunch of products. Okay, NatoClear is a product. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but I think Sonny will after I get done here. So NatoClear, click. There's going to be like 5 products I'm just going to show in a row now. Super Greens. It's got vitamin D. Wellspring has omega-3s. It has turmeric. These are all great antioxidants, anti-inflammatories. These things are really great. NatoClear has things in it that help get rid of, like, decrease the rate of cardiovascular disease by degrading plasminogen activator inhibitor. Those of you who know, I'm actually one of the inventors of tissue plasminogen activator. And so that probably wouldn't have been necessary if we didn't have this other molecule called plasminogen activator inhibitor floating around just inhibiting tissue plasminogen activator. Okay, and so we probably would, our rate of heart attacks would be plummeted a lot lower than they are now. Okay, but these products, again, will remove somebody from the side of the tug of war. I think you already moved that person. Go to the next slide. Then, you know, a lot of companies have these products, but one thing I like about Touchstone Essentials is the quality. I mean, I was shocked when they actually started marketing the next product I'm going to show, but don't show it yet, because their standards for how much lead can be in the product and how much contaminants and other things was beyond anything I'd ever seen before. California has this Proposition 65, and Touchstone goes way beyond the rule is a proposition of 65 for how much contaminants they'll have in their foods. So I consider these to be the best protein fibers and super green juice, and Sonny will talk more about super green juice. But go to the next slide. We get rid of one more person. Okay, so now go to the next slide. We you know, it didn't show everything here, but what I have been all about is adding people to the other side of the tug of war. How can we induce the production of telomerase to actually make it even better? Now, we have come up with things that will add like one person to the right side of the tug of war. We haven't won the tug of war yet with nutraceuticals. We have with gene therapies. Okay, gene therapies are in clinical studies right now. They're extremely expensive, and there's a lot of risk to them. But at least they're going to provide us with some proof of concepts, because my goal is to continue doing my research to get even more people than we have now on the right side of the tug of war. Okay, and so this product, go to the next slide. I think we should see, so telomerase is the only way to do this. So we induce telomerase. Go to the next slide. This is what Touchstone Essentials created out of the discoveries that I had made. I had tested over 1 million different molecules with our high throughput robotic screening assay. We have these robots that would just test different molecules, nutraceuticals, things like that. We tested, so of all the molecules, 600,000 of those were fractions of plant extracts. Okay, we don't do whole plant extracts because there's too many molecules in there. Even if you did have an activator, something else is going to inhibit it. So we would fractionate plant extracts into molecules of size, charge, solubility, etc. And so we tested 600,000 different fractions, and we only found 50 out of all 600,000 that actually would induce the production of telomerase in human cells. And Touchstone Essentials took those and mixed the top 5 into TeloVital. And the reason why they included 5 is because of the possibility of synergy. Okay, and that product is called TeloVital. And long story short, this is the best nutraceutical on the planet right now for inducing telomerase expression in human cells to lengthen telomeres. Go to the next slide. So the fact that it doesn't win this tug of war is a good thing, but it's still a good thing that because it slows down the rate of the shortening. Okay, but it turns out that from lots of other studies, mostly gene therapy studies that we've done, and not just us, but other labs have done and published, that it turns out when telomeres get critically short, they become easier to lengthen. And that's a reference in the red box that's kind of like hard to read there because it didn't work the way it does on my computer. But that's a reference that showing that telomerase preferentially lengthens the shortest telomeres. Okay, go to the next slide, because why is that? And so what I do is I explain that telomeres are not linear like the way I show it in the left-hand side of this picture. It's actually like a ball of yarn. And the tip of the telomere is actually buried inside of that ball of yarn. And so when you produce telomerase, if your telomeres are really long, telomerase can't get to the tip of the telomere very easily. And so it's very inefficient at lengthening it because it has to first bind to the tip of the chromosome. But when tip of the telomere. But when telomeres get critically short, go to the next slide. Okay, so that just says what I just said. I thought I'd cut that out. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, when telomeres get really short, then the ball of yarn is much smaller, if not existent at all. Telomeres can bind to that tip and then lengthen it. And that's why the shortest telomeres preferentially get lengthened. And so that's why we are actually seeing, and I know some people on this call are actually some of the people I'm going to talk about, or that Sonny will probably talk about, that actually are seeing some surprising age reversal from TeloVital, when TeloVital is not supposed to be potent enough to lengthen telomeres. Okay, so, but it possibly is because they have a lot of critically short telomeres. Go to the next slide. Okay, I don't know what that exclamation mark means, but this is supposed to be a graph where I show that we have tested a whole lot of different things. There's a lot of products out there that claim to lengthen telomeres. Okay, and the only way to lengthen telomeres is to induce telomerase expression. So what this graph that you can't see shows is that we have tested every single product, and I call them product A, product B, product C, but because I don't want to mention their names because I don't want cease and desist letters coming to me. But none of them, not a single product that we can find, actually induces the expression of telomerase. And then some of these things that you can't see, we've tested all the lifestyle things. There's published lifestyles that will lengthen your telomeres or decrease the rate of their shortening by putting people on the right side of the tug of war. There's also products that claim that particular diets would do it. And then there's therapies. You can go to all over the place. You can find chambers you can get into, boxes you can get into, things, expose yourself to certain wavelengths of things like that. They claim to lengthen telomeres, but none of them actually induce the production of telomerase. And we've tested every one of these things in our high throughput robotic screening assays. And we've talked to the people that market these things and told them and asked them to explain why they think it works. And I'll come to that in a few minutes. But on the right side of this graph that you can't see, I show that the 5 ingredients in Televital all do induce telomerase. So the only ones that do, and the most potent one, because you can't see it, is actually turmeric. But it's a fraction of turmeric that is missing curcumin. Now we have shown that curcumin isn't an inhibitor of whatever activity is in turmeric that's making it. It's just accidentally missing. So I recommend people still get their turmeric and curcumin elsewhere. And it turns out Wellspring, which is one of the products that Touchstone does have that product. Okay, so I don't remember the other ones. Sonny probably knows them better. I'm an expert in telomere biology. I'm not an expert in plant extracts. Okay, we just screen them. And usually when we screen them, we do it completely blind, so we don't know what they are until after the vendor who's going to market the products or who's provided us with the natural products to test tells us what they are. Okay, so go to the next slide. See what happens. I don't know if, oh, so what do you know? This is going to work. Okay, so this is brand A, brand B. No telomerase expression at all. Go to the next one. Diet. Go to the next one. Lifestyle. Except for, including, what does that say? Oh, yeah. There's a lot of psychological studies published that you can lengthen telomeres. None of them actually do. Therapies. The only exception there is gene therapy. Gene therapy does lengthen telomeres, but it doesn't induce telomerase. It actually delivers a new gene that's already induced. Okay, so but gene therapy is the only other thing, and it's, as I said, expensive and risky. It's in clinical studies right now. And then go to the next slide. This shows, now you can see all the different ingredients. And so go to the next slide, because I bet you they show the bars aren't probably going to show, but those are showing the numbers of how potent each one is. And what those numbers actually mean is the number of mRNAs that encode the telomerase protein component, the number of mRNAs that are found per cell. So turmeric produces 27 mRNAs per cell. This fraction that's missing curcumin does this. The other ones aren't as strong, but they're still stronger than the next best thing on the planet, which doesn't really exist anymore because the company discontinued it because the profit margin wasn't high enough. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so that's Televital, sold by Touchstone Essentials. Next slide. Okay. Why do some companies claim that their products do lengthen telomeres? And bottom line is because they don't really understand telomere biology very well. I'm the inventor or co-inventor of every assay for measuring telomere length and measuring telomerase activity. And I can tell you which ones are good and which ones are bad. But there's a lot of mistakes. And so what I want to do is go to the next slide. I want to explain some things. And what I want to show is that all these companies that claim that they have a product, therapy, lifestyle, or a supplement that will lengthen telomeres, what they do is they show that before treatment, telomeres are at one length, and then afterwards, they're the longer length. Okay, next slide. This doesn't mean that the telomeres got lengthened, because there's other ways to get the same data without lengthening telomeres. Go to the next slide. And in fact, these other ways actually end up resulting in shortened telomeres throughout the body, because they're only measuring telomere lengths in the blood, but the dynamics in the blood are so weird. Cells are changing all the time, cells are coming out, cells are going in, that telomere lengths can change just because of the change in population. And I'll explain a little more into that in a second. But first, go to the next slide, because this is a list. What you're going to see is several publications now that have shown other ways. It's going to show what I'm going to show in the next slides. Okay, so go to the next slide. Okay, so in our blood, there's a lot of different types of cells. Okay, and then plus each type of cell has a whole bunch of different cells in terms of telomere lengths. There's going to be some cells that have short telomeres, some have long telomeres, some have average telomeres, because the length of a telomere in a cell all depends on where that cell came from. How many cell divisions has it gone through in its life? Okay, and there's going to be a whole variety of things. So there's a whole big distribution. 90, or let's say all except one company that measures telomere lengths only measure the average. And so you never know what the distribution is. So just getting the average can really be misleading. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so pretend now that you could reach into your blood and you could remove the cells that have critically short telomeres. Okay, that's going to go to the next slide. I hope this works. It didn't work. Okay, so that red line moves over to show that when you remove those cells, the average length of the telomeres that remain are longer, even without any lengthening. And the analogy that I like to use is it's like if you have a company and you fire your dumbest employees, the average IQ of your company increases without anybody getting any smarter. Okay, and this same thing happens in our blood. If we're in this, what this link here on the top right shows, is that any kind of toxin, and those previous references I showed show the same thing. Anything that has any kind of toxic activity at all will actually preferentially kill blood cells that have short telomeres. And as a result, the cells that remain are going to have longer telomeres. So the chart that I showed before, they didn't get lengthened, they just got rid of the cells with short telomeres, and as a result, the average was increased. Okay, go to the next slide. The same thing can happen if you add new cells. So pretend you could just add new cells into the average length of the telomeres are going to increase. And go to the next slide. This is a link showing that anything that's immunogenic is going to induce cells in your bone marrow or elsewhere that already have longer telomeres, and some of those references I showed just before show studies showing that the cells in your bone marrow have longer telomeres, the stem cells in your bone marrow have longer telomeres than elsewhere in your body. Those are going to divide and infiltrate the blood, adding new cells with longer telomeres. As a result, the average length of the telomeres are going to increase without any lengthening. So think about it. There's a lot of shortening that occurred from those cells in the bone marrow dividing to get into the bone, into the blood. Okay, and in the previous one, I should have mentioned that when you kill off the cells with short telomeres, you have to have other cells divide to replace those killed cells. So again, you have telomere shortening. And that's why, even though the telomeres might be getting longer or look to be longer in your blood, in your whole body, your average telomere length has decreased, has gotten shorter. Okay, and this would be like going back to that analogy of a company. If you hired a bunch of geniuses for your company, your average IQ of the company increases without anybody getting any smarter. Same thing's happening in our blood. And a lot of these products are either inducing a toxic response or an immunogenic response. And if they don't demonstrate the production of telomerase, they cannot say that they lengthen telomeres. And why all these companies don't have any data showing telomerase expression doesn't make any sense, because measuring telomerase activity is easy. As I said, I'm an inventor or co-inventor of all these different tests. So they can do it, and I don't know why they don't have it, except maybe they did do it and they didn't get a signal, and so they said they don't know why. They just scratched their heads, said it, don't know why, and just said, well, we did see that telomeres got longer, so let's go with that. Okay, go to the next slide. And I think this is the summary slide of what I just talked about. So a treatment, any kind of treatment, whether it's a supplement, therapy, lifestyle, diet, any type of treatment that is at all toxic or immunogenic will do the same thing as this picture shows. Your telomeres, your average telomere length will be longer afterwards than before. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, you have to measure telomerase expression. Go to the next slide. Okay, and we test everything. Because we have this robotic drug screening, it's really easy to do. It can test up to 4,000 different things a day. We have two big robots. They're $1 million robots that do this work. But go to the next slide. We tell every company our results. And so if you think somebody else has a product that's going to lengthen telomeres, look for the Sierra Sciences or Bill Andrews seal of approval, because those companies that have passed, they do have this seal of approval. But guess what? The only products that have passed have been the ones selling products that contain ingredients that I discovered or my company discovered. But go ahead, next slide. Not that I'm biased or anything like that. I've tested them all with, because I want to find something that really works. If somebody else finds something that works better than what I have, I'll be the first one standing in line to take it. Okay, so now since I am marketing, I want to just say, and I don't get any compensation, by the way, for saying anything about these products, marketing or anything like that. I just believe that they are good for people. They make people happier and healthier. I will say that Touchstone Essentials does pay my company a royalty on the sales of TeloVital. That's the only one they do, that we use to help fund our research. Every penny of that goes into our research. Okay, so inflammation is the #1 cause of aging. And I have found a company or a test that I think is really incredible. I recommend everybody on this call tell their patients to get. And this is called the LCAT test. Okay, you can go to www.lcat.com. I wouldn't be surprised if Sonny talks about this too. What it does is it identifies non-IgE. So it's not an allergy test. Allergies are caused by the IgE immune responses. But it looks at actually the changes in the morphology of the white blood cells when there's an inflammatory response. So it tests like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different foods and chemicals and supplements and things like that to let you know what foods. I got my dog coughing in the background if you can hear that. But it tells you what causes inflammation in you, and tell your patients just stop eating that food for 6 months to a year and they'll be fine again. Okay, but I take this test every year. I think it's a really fabulous test. Go to the next slide. I think the best place to actually get your telomere lengths measured is LifeLength, www.lifelength.com. They're the only ones that measure, that show you the entire distribution of your chromosomes or your telomeres, and they're the only ones that tell you what % of your telomeres are critically short. So we have a lot of people right now taking TeloVital that are having their critically short telomeres looked at to see if any of them get longer. As I said, TeloVital is not potent enough to lengthen all the telomeres, but we want to get data now showing that it's potent enough to lengthen the shortest telomeres. And we know from gene therapy experiments, when cells produce the same level of telomerase that TeloVital induces, it does happen. Okay, we just don't have that data for TeloVital yet, and we're looking forward to getting that. Go to the next slide. There's other biomarkers of aging besides telomere length measurement, and the best company, in my opinion, because it's headed by a guy named Ryan Smith, who's a great scientist. I've heard him speak at many conferences. He gives great data showing how he's taken a whole bunch of different biomarkers of aging and put them all together to come up with, I think, is what the best measurement of correlates with aging. Doesn't mean that reversing it's going to cure aging, but it does. It's a good correlation of how your biological age compares to your chronological age. Okay, so I think Sonny just posted something about a link on the chat about the LCAT test. Go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so I said it would take me 10 hours to talk about everything. People can go to my website, click on the next slide. This will be, you click on a few of them. That's my website. That's a link. Click on that button. You can see what is aging. Stop there. Stop there. Okay. What is aging? Why we age? How we age? Go back. Go back if you can. Okay. So that's what I talked about at the last talk, but I didn't even have time to talk about everything I can say on that. Then talking about diseases in general, I think Sonny might be mentioning those. Telomere length affects every disease you've ever heard of. The only ones I know of that it doesn't is alcoholism and sickle cell anemia. Okay, so those have nothing to do with telomeres. Okay, so then also, why do telomeres shorten? Every time a cell divides, why do telomeres shorten? I call that the basal level rate of telomere shortening. Something that we can't get, even if you have the perfect lifestyle, perfect genetics, every time your cells divide, it's still going to shorten what's called the basal level rate of telomere shortening, which means one ride ticket. So if you have the perfect lifestyle and the perfect genetics, you could possibly live to be 125. But why can't you live longer? And that's because of the basal level telomere shortening. And I explain why that telomere shorten even when everything's perfect. Okay, the next one is telomerase does not cause cancer. There's a lot of rumors going around, at least up until like 2017. But just on a call last night or the day before, I actually had somebody on a call that actually was absolutely certain that telomerase causes cancer, but he was 100% convinced the opposite's true. Telomerase actually decreases the risk of cancer, helps you fight your cancers actually. And so, but you can see videos of me talking about that. Then there's a whole bunch of videos I talk about why is cancer not cured? Why is heart disease not cured? Why is dementia not cured? Why is all this research going on and none of these things are cured? And I talk about the gauges of success. Everybody gauges the success on how quick can they get return on investment for their investors, or how many publications that they can get, because there's such a thing as publish or perish. So people, when they get a grant to do funding, they want to get another grant afterwards. So the best way to get another grant is spend every penny of your first grant on getting publications. So nobody's got the gauge of success of being, let's cure diseases. If you look at my track record, you'll find out that I've cured or treated more diseases than anybody on the planet. Okay, so then the next thing is best choice medicine. This comes back into what we talked about at the very beginning, classifying aging as a disease. Best choice medicine is a proposal that me and Elizabeth Parrish, who's the CEO of Blvd, have published a paper on, where we're talking about revamping the system at the FDA to allow people that have life-threatening diseases or diseases that make life not worth living be able to be treated with any treatment they choose. So the patient's choice is the best choice. And we actually have the Coalition for Radical Life Extension is organizing a march on Washington, D.C. coming up actually early 2027, where we're going to be marching on the Lincoln Memorial to actually persuade the FDA and the government to actually change the rules about, somebody, if you have something that your doctor's told you can only live 6 months, or you tell your patient they can only live another 6 months, they can't try whatever they can to save their lives. And then they die. And that's wrong. They should be able to try anything they want. Okay, go to the next slide. This is just ending with my vision. I think living is the greatest thing that ever happened to us. I challenge anybody to come up with something that's better that's happened to us. I love living, and I don't want to see living become any less lovable for any of us because of this dumb thing called aging. And you can see why I call it dumb by watching my other videos, especially why we age. And my whole life has been spent trying to understand what aging is, why we age, how we age, so that I can do something about make it so we don't age. And so that's what it's all about. Go to the next slide. My motto is cure aging or die trying. Thank you very much. And what I want to do before we go to Q&A is I want to introduce Sonny Nguyen, who's actually, I think, is a genius when it comes to understanding supplements and things like that. And he can tell you a lot more about what a lot of these products do than I could. So Sonny, are you ready to take over?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bill, and also Dr. Clearfield for providing this platform. I really love every time I come on here. We're on a mission to free families from physical pain. And does anyone here know what the top two complaints to doctors are? Anyone want to make a guess? Low energy and stress. So why are those the top two complaints to doctors? Dr. Clearfield, is it okay if I could share my,
If you can get it to work, go for it.
so let me see here.
We couldn't get Dr. Andrews to work, so that's why I did it. He ended up emailing it to me.
Okay, so let me see if I can go to this one here. Let's share the screen. Are you allowing participants to share?
I have, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Do you see my screen right here?
I see minerals falling short. Is that
Yeah.
it?
This is according to U.S. Department of Agriculture. Since 1948, they've been spraying pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, which destroys the microorganisms that break down the rock minerals. So, since 1963, there's been more mineral deficiency diseases like cancer and autoimmune diseases. So, but the human body needs 90 essential nutrients. 60 must be minerals. Without the minerals, the body cannot absorb these vitamins. And if you ever Google Linus Pauling, who had 40 PhDs, he says every sickness and disease can be traced back to a mineral deficiency in the human body. And the USDA data also recorded that the last 20 years we lost over 84% in vitamins and minerals. And now we have to eat over 43 bowls of spinach. And no one has time or money to eat that amount of spinach. So one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about sharing superfood nutrition detox because my girlfriend is fighting cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma stage 3. My dad is suffering from Alzheimer. I have many friends and family who we've lost way too early. And I'm really obsessed with health, nutrition, and fitness in my past 17 years. And did you know that they're spraying toxic chemicals onto our foods, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, where they have to wear a mask because it's so toxic. And then if you go to the supermarket, you want to read the PLU code, barcode number 4, meaning it contains pesticide. 8 is GMO. It causes leaky gut linked to all these food allergies that never existed. There's a really good documentary called Food Matters and also genetic roulette documentaries on YouTube that you can watch. So if you're buying fruits and vegetables, you want to make sure it's a number 9 barcode. That means organic. And that's so the toxins are pretty much everywhere. If you Google the clean air report, say the city of Reno, it'll show you what type of toxic air that you're breathing in, chemicals. Our tap water contains heavy metals, pesticides, fluoride, chlorine. There's nanoplastics everywhere. There's even Teflon found in blood of polar bears, and that's a chemical linked to cancer, birth defects, and other health issues. And so Mount Sinai Medical School tested a whole bunch of humans, and they found over 100 deadly toxins in the human body. So the human body has an innate intelligence to heal itself. So it creates more visceral fat to protect itself from these obesogens and whatever chemicals. I made friends with Dr. Noreen Mayberry. She's a NASA scientist. She's a toxicologist. She wrote a book called Talking Toxicology. And she taught me, even if you go outside for a jog or a hike, we're breathing in and there's toxins that are in our skin. So you want to make sure you take a shower before you go to sleep. So then the other problem is alkalinity. There's a lot of food that is very acidic. 6.9 pH or lower, it goes into acidosis. That's when sickness and disease come into the body. The best way to alkaline our body is to eat dark green advantaged foods. And I really love Touchstone because they are 100% plant-based, organic certified, and 98% of supplements that we're taking in the supermarkets, GNC, are synthetic. They offer little or no benefits, or even some of them have can cause harm. And this is how you could read your vitamin. If anybody wants this chart, I'll be more than happy to email you or text it to you. For example, if your vitamin B3 is niacinamide, it's made from coal tar derivatives, ammonia, and formaldehyde. If it's from a natural source, it should be from organic rice bran, broccoli, blueberries, or organic mushrooms. Or if your vitamin B12 supplement is cobalamin or cyanocobalamin, it's made from activated charcoal reacted with cyanide. Or your vitamin D, this is cholecalciferol, is made from radiation lanolin. So Touchstone is only using plant-based superfoods, and there's many studies that shows that if you take the dietary intake of vitamin C and E, it will may lower your risk of Alzheimer. And then if you are taking high doses of carotenoid-rich fruits and vegetables, they offer many health benefits, including uh, possible reducing breast cancer. And if you look at the ingredients, they're all organic certified, and 33 servings of our fresh fruits and vegetables that we try to eat every day is equivalent to one serving of the antioxidants in the supplement of Touchstone. So just keep in mind, toxins are everywhere. If you eat fish, the bigger the fish, the more mercury, lead found in plants. If you just walking outside, getting some fresh air, you're breathing in arsenic, cadmium, chromium. So we can't really escape it. And there's also a big problem, the fact that a lot of people right now, we brush our teeth and shower every day, but we never clean the inside of the body. So the zeolite lights here are clinitolite zeolite. They're nano size in the pure body, and they pretty much cross the blood-brain barrier. And it's also, you spray it into your mouth 4 times, and it helps get rid of toxins, heavy metals, parasites, and they even use these clinitolite zeolite in Europe to get rid of Chernobyl radiation. I have the white papers if anybody wants the white paper with 130 peer-reviewed studies published in medical journals. And the pure body spray is also good for rash, bug bites. Those who don't like bug bites. Pure body is not a micron size. It's for your stomach to gut detox, but it actually helps with antiviral. So if you're coming down with a cough or cold or flu, double the dosage. It will really stop the virus from replicating within 48 hours, and I can send you the scientific research for that. The fulvic mineral is something that we're all lacking, and it also helps the cells function better. But 5 billion people got the COVID shot. And if you know anybody that got the COVID shot, I highly recommend to you to go get a live blood analysis where you can actually see the blood cells if they're sticky. Just like if you eat too much meat, you have diabetes, you have cancer, the blood cells start being sticky. We have Dr. Thomas Brewer on here. He tests blood samples all day, and he's been finding a lot of spike protein. That's what we're looking at here, spike protein. And 5 billion people got the COVID shot. Millions have died from myocarditis, strokes, heart attack, turbo cancers. And I really love the fact that Touchstone has a natto clear. The Japanese have been eating nattokinase for over 100 years for many health benefits, but it actually has bromelain for pineapple, green tea. It really helps with detoxing the body from spike protein. It actually gives more energy, focus, muscle relief, joint support, and also less bloating. Dr. Bill, can you share with everyone why you like the nattokinase?
Well, I think I mentioned it before. One of the things that nattokinase does, and this is not a kinase. Those of you that know about enzymes and things like that, this is not a kinase. It's an enzyme from a bacteria called nattokin that's found in Japan. But it's a protease, and it has a very specific sequence that it degrades. So it doesn't degrade all proteins; it just degrades some of them. And one of them happens to be the spike protein, which Sonny just talked about. But what I like is that it degrades plasminogen activator inhibitor, which I mentioned before, because that's an inhibitor, one of the enzymes I discovered, tissue plasminogen activator, which every ambulance carries. But the other thing is that it also degrades fibrin, okay, which is, again, going to help reduce blood clots and stuff like that. So this nattokinase is actually, I think, a super enzyme. The only thing is that people have to be cautious if they're on blood thinners, because this enzyme works so well that you might have to have some problems with bleeding if you are also on blood thinners. But there's there are studies that show you what dose you can take without having to worry about it, even if you're on blood thinners. I don't have those numbers available. I didn't expect Sonny to ask.
Thank you, Dr. Bill. Yeah, so how many of you here like to eat chocolate cake, pizza, bread, rice, dessert, wine, alcohol? All that turns to sugar. So if you take this glucose control 1 hour before you have that piece of chocolate cake, well, it turns the sugar into insoluble fiber. So therefore, it's going to help you with your glucose, and it has many other health benefits. For example, it prevents you from getting hungry, craving for sweet food, gives you a brain and lack of focus, gives you energy, prevents acne or skin breakouts. It helps you lose weight. And also the parashield, whether you have pets, you go barefooted, you like sushi, then most likely you have parasites. I did not believe that I had a parasite until I did this parashield cleanse, and I actually saw a parasite coming out of me. My girlfriend who did this parasite cleanse, she actually saw eggs and parasites coming out of her. So the other thing is I really want to touch base on Dr. Bill's research, the fact that when telomeres get short, bad things happen, gray hair, wrinkles, loss of memory, poor eyesight. But Dr. Bill, can you talk a little bit more about the aging related diseases that's associated with telomere shortening?
Well, I thought you were going to talk about it, but let me just say quickly that when we first discovered telomerase and figured out a way to lengthen telomeres, we weren't aware. Is there somebody else talking? Let's see. We didn't actually expect to find that it affected practically every disease on the planet. And this is just a list of all the diseases that I had known about like 10, 15 years ago. Now the list has gotten so big, the print would be too small. But even something like AIDS is actually affected by telomere shortening because when the HIV infects you, it actually, the only thing it does is it kills immune cells, okay, specifically the CD8 cells. Now, the when somebody you know gets infected with HIV, they don't know it for several years, and the reason they don't know it is because when the HIV kills the immune cells, other cells can divide to replace those immune cells. But as a result, telomeres got shorter. Then that gets killed, and then another cell has to divide to replace that cell. So you get a faster rate of telomere shortening as a result of the faster rate of cell division. And eventually, you run out of telomeres, and then you start suffering from immune deficiency syndrome because you don't have any immune cells. And so if we could keep telomeres long in patients that were suffering from AIDS, they could probably not suffer anymore. They could probably live normal lives, even though they'll still be infected with the virus. Another example is liver cirrhosis. You drink, which is third on the right from the top. Everybody knows that when you drink alcohol, you kill liver cells. Well, that doesn't bother people at first because they have other cells that can divide to replace those killed liver cells. And again, telomeres get shorter, and eventually you run out of telomeres and you get liver cirrhosis. Muscular dystrophy, same kind of thing, except in this case, it's not a lifestyle, it's due to the dystrophin mutation or gene variant. I don't want to call it a mutation because it's probably just a gene variant. And the dystrophin gene variant actually accelerates the rate of cell division in muscle cells or myocytes, and as a result, you don't feel any symptoms when you're young. It's not until you're like 40, 50 years old, and all of a sudden you start running out of telomeres and you can't replace your killed muscle cells anymore, and that kills you. I can explain all these diseases that way, but everything now is connected to the length of telomeres. People don't know the importance of telomeres in all of health because they just don't know enough about telomere biology. And that's one of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain to everybody, look at telomeres. These are really, really important. As soon as we figure out a way to lengthen all the telomeres in humans, we're going to see some dramatic changes in the way people live. And hopefully we'll see a reversal of aging. Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Bill. So whether you're looking to improve your cognitive clarity, hair color, thickness, skin elasticity, you want more energy, your immune health, better sleep, less stress, better joint health, muscle recovery, strength, stamina, or even your prostate, I highly recommend to do the full system, which is called the Advantage Pack, which offers you the detox and you're able to remove the problem, and which is heavy metals, toxins, parasites, nanoplastics, and then you want to repair the damaged cells and then rebuild healthy cells. Healthy cells rebuild healthy bones, joints, ligament. And we want to invite a couple of our teammates that came out that is really mind blowing, because when I met Peter Mayhew here, he was suffering from uh, 39 rounds of radiation for cancer. He couldn't breathe. He was lying down when he went to sleep. He had to shove a contraption of his nose. He was totally miserable. Peter, is there any way you could jump out at the young age of 83 and can you share with everyone here how this changed your life, Peter?
Yeah, thanks, Sonny, for this opportunity. When you asked me to talk about what's going on with me, I had to really think about how I was going to approach it. But let me start off by saying thank you to Dr. Phil Andrews, because his 30 plus years of research and Eddie Stone with his products, they give me back my life. But not only that, I'm 83, and most people think I'm in my late 50s or 60s now. The way I walk, the way I behave, what I can do, all the sports I can do, I'm right back to being a young man again, which is just, this is in an 8-month period. So let me go back to last fall in August. I was sitting, I'm glad Sonny mentioned the diseases that I had. Really, really damaged my body, and the hormone therapy really, really gave me a rough time. Anyway, in August, I was sitting on the sofa. I could barely get off. Just walking to the garage, I would get, my breath would go away. I had no energy. My grip was really bad. My eyesight wasn't all that great. I just felt like enough is enough. And I remember all the doctor's tests. I had a heart specialist, I had a cancer specialist, I had a GP and an ear, nose, and throat specialist, and all the numbers did not look good. I was scheduled to have my nose rebuilt, 3.5-hour operation, because the 4 vaccines I took. This is what I think. That's my own opinion. I'm not a doctor. I'm just an engineer, so I don't know. But my nose had totally collapsed. The cartilage had just, my nose, like it was just flopped like a flag in the wind. It was horrible. So I couldn't breathe at night. I had to shove a mechanical device up my nose so I could breathe and get some sleep. I was getting up about 8 to 9 times a night, so I wasn't getting very good sleep for almost a year. My grip was very weak. My muscles were weak. I felt fragile. Just completely tired, with no energy at all. My resting heart rate, which was always pretty good, was up over 80. My filtration rate in my kidneys was down to 38. My creatine was up to 125. So things were not looking good. My lung capacity was only down to 80%, and I can go on and on. Oh, I have all these numbers. But I remember the date, August 27th last year. My good friend Stuart Brown called me. She had connected with Sonny, and she said, "Peter, we've got to get you on Televital and the Touchstone products. You need to get on it." And it's funny because just before my phone rang, and Sonny knows this, I had a butcher knife on my neck. I wanted to kill myself. Seriously, if it wasn't for these products, I'd be dead today. So anyway, we ordered the products, and 3 weeks into taking Televital and all the Touchstone products, and I have to thank Sonny because he told me what to take when. And being an engineer, I'm very regimented in what I do, and I made sure I took the right things at the right time every day. 3 weeks into all these products and Televital, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember the time because I wear my watch when I sleep. And the mechanical device I had to shove up my nose so I could breathe had fallen out, and I had no trouble breathing. And I felt my nose. I said, "My gosh, it's like my nose had rebuilt itself." 8 months later, my filtration rate is almost 60 now. It's 58. My resting heart rate is 54 to 56. My lung capacity is 98%. My eyesight has improved to the point where I only wear glasses for driving because I have to. It's on my license card. And if I'm watching a movie or TV. My grip is phenomenal. I have my strength back. I can run. I can walk. I don't have to stop and rest when I'm walking. My skin elasticity is much better. My hair is darker. What else can I say here? I wrote some things down. So many things have happened to me. What have I forgotten? Oh, and my heart. I don't know whether the hormone therapy did this or the vaccine did this, but my injection rates were not that good, and I have plaque in the lower right-hand side of my heart. So I doubled up on the Clear, and after about a month of doing that, I didn't get winded when I moved or walked or ran. I could breathe a lot easier, and I'm being tested again in June, so hopefully the plaque in my arteries is going to be gone, because I don't get exhausted when I do things anymore, which I used to. The other thing I used to have signs of bronchitis, coughed up a lot of phlegm. As Sue would know, I kept stopping the car, spitting out phlegm all the time. That's all gone. I don't have that anymore. I don't wheeze when I breathe. I don't whistle when I breathe in my nose. That's all gone. So suffice to say, today we met somebody, and they were blown away when I said I'm 83. So most people think I'm in my late 50s, early 60s. My biological age is 61, and my chronological age is just below 70, 69. So my age is going back, and I just feel phenomenal. As Dr. Bill Andrews said, probably because I had a lot of extremely short critical telomeres, and that's probably why I'm regressing back in my age. So that's my testimony. I feel great. Thank you, Dr. Bill Andrews. Thank you, Sonny, for your leadership. And pass on my thanks to Eddie Stone.
Well, thank you, Peter. Appreciate you. Dr. Clearfield, this is my friend Joan and her mom. Her husband died a couple of years ago. She was in and out of the hospital, and she was walking with a walker, and she was wearing reading glasses. She's 94. She'll be 95 this Thursday. And as you see her, she's no longer wearing glasses, and her white hair is darting at the roots. And I'll just let her share. Ma, can you step out and share with everyone on how?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Sonny has already told you everything that is about me, because tomorrow or 24 hours ago, from now on, I mean, in 24 hours, I'll be officially 95 years younger. True, I should say, I'm very thankful for Dr. Bill to have introduced the Telovital, because I know that Telovital has helped me. Well, my children introduced, Dr. Bill put it up in market. So Sonny and my daughter Joe told me to take it in. So from then on, every day, every morning, I have to take my Telovital, and that shows that I am standing straight, no more wheelchair. I enjoy life. And what else can I say? I'm 95 years younger now.
How long
And
have you
I
been
hope
how long have you been using the Televital?
Telovital is.
Since my mom and I have been using it since June 19th of 2025.
Oh, yes, it was the day.
Yeah.
June 19th, yes. It was
Not,
introduced
not
to me.
even a year.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. Yes, then that you could just see me now, sitting up straight and have good appetite. Telovital gave me back my life. Now I'm very happy. And thank you, Dr. Bill. Thank you, Sonny, and taking me
Okay.
to
So-
places.
One other question. There's a picture on your mantle above your left shoulder from where I'm seeing. Is that you with dark hair there?
Yeah, that was my mom when she was in her early 20s when she graduated from
that's-
the university.
That's her, right?
Yeah,
What's that?
yeah.
Yeah, you have the same skin tone. You look exactly the same.
Oh, yeah. Telovital. I'll just say Telovital. Thank you very
There's
much.
your commercial, Sonny.
Okay, great, yeah.
Witness all these transformations. Her white hair, her hair was all white. Now it's darkening at the roots.
Standing, Doctor.
Yeah.
Anymore.
You were having some supply issues when we had our thing. Have you gotten that straightened out?
Yes, it worked so well that it was the company couldn't keep up with the demand, and it's back in stock now. But you got to hear from the amazing Debbie Stella here. Debbie has been on Touchstone for many years. Can you share with everyone how it really changed your life, Deborah?
I certainly will, Sonny. Thanks for inviting me. But I have to tell Dr. Bill Clearfield, I'm so glad he's an Eagles fan because I'm a huge Eagles fan.
Well, that's where I'm from. So it's
Oh, well,
in your blood.
I'm from Pennsylvania also, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area.
Well,
But
I lived in Wilkes-Barre for 30 years.
you did.
I did. Yes, I lived in Kingston, and
Oh my gosh.
then I lived at Montage Mountain. And I had my office in 40.
Now that I'm thinking of it, I might have heard of you. Because I lived in 44 for 18 years.
Well, that's where my office was for the last 10 years of when I was there.
Oh my gosh, this is too funny. We'll have to talk another time. But anyway, what could I say? First of all, going back like 9 or 10 years ago, that I had a lot of knee issues where I was kind of having a hard time going up and down stairs to the point where I got stopped on a stair and I couldn't move. So I went to a local doctor here, and he said, I don't know what's wrong, but you're probably going to need a knee replacement in the next year or so. So time went on. I was introduced to these products, and I start taking them religiously, let's say in the month of August. By December, I started noticing differences. So my joint issues, I have, as you could see, my hands, I have osteoarthritis. But this is the way they looked 7 years ago. There's no more progression since I've been taking Wellspring, which is like an anti-inflammatory. My digestive issues, I had a lot of digestive issues, especially, during the holidays when you're eating not exactly the right kind of food. Gone. And that's from taking many different products. I took the Pure Body Extra. I took the Super Green Juice, the Super Protein, and I really got into promoting it because I saw results. So it was easy for me to promote something that I saw results with. Digestive issues gone, inflammation gone. I haven't had a problem going up and down stairs for like 8 years. So I have to attribute to what I'm doing, and that's taking these religiously, and I take them every day. Now, let's talk about Dr. Andrews and this wonderful Televital. When I first started taking it, I felt a sense of euphoria, like stress-free, nothing bothered me. I was happy all the time. I mean, I'm normally a happy person, but this was something unexplainable. It was like euphoria. Now, as you can see, I've been white. I've been white since probably my late 50s. I have dark hair coming through. My nails are so strong and growing like crazy. My hair is growing like crazy. I just got a haircut because I have to get a haircut quite often because of this. More energy. Just so many different things with this Televital that I've been promoting it like crazy and got so many customers. And my one friend who unfortunately couldn't be on this call had macular degeneration, and since been taking it after 2 months of taking it, she's on her 3rd month now. She could see better in the mirror. She had gray lines on her eyes, and they're now gone. So a lot of really, this is another friend of ours, and you could see on the screen there that's been taking it. Look at her hair. And same thing with me. I had a lot of very thinning hair, and I don't have those spots anymore like this lady had. They weren't as severe as this woman, but still, it bothered me. At the age of 73, I want to live to be 100. So I'm hoping to be a brunette by Christmas. I'm working on it. But everything is just as people on this call had mentioned. When you're when everything is sourced within the country, and it's pure, it's farm to bottle, it's cold processed. All of these things matter when you're looking for supplements to take to get yourself in a healthier situation. So thank you, Dr. Andrews and Sonny, for giving me this opportunity to talk. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, so we're here to share a gift that keeps on giving, and we truly believe that the human body really needs to come back to homeostasis by detoxing, getting the right source of minerals to actually absorb the right protein that can build healthy cells to address the issues of aging. The sarcopenia happens at the age of 25, where we start losing 0.1 skeletal muscle mass. And brain atrophy starts at the age of 35, where it starts shrinking. So we don't have to suffer as we grow older. I truly believe in Dr. Bill Andrews' work. I truly believe that he can cure aging within 3 years with enough funding. I've been following him for 10 years. And Dr. Clearfield, thank you so much for allowing me to share.
And thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Dr. Andrews. Dr. Nario, is there any questions online?
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Bill, for that great presentation. There's one that I think got our audience attention here. When you showed that there was a graph that showed that there is no, I guess, evidence of diet and lifestyle showing evidence that telomeres can be lengthened. And the comment here was stating, I get they cited the Ornish diet and the Predimed study study diet, which are all Mediterranean based and plant based, actually had saying that there are increases in telomere lengths. So I don't know if again they're just making a constructive comment here. Maybe you can clear that up for our audience.
Well, I know Dean Ornish. I've met him many times and talked with him and stuff like that. They're just misinterpreting the telomere length measurement assays. They're looking at the average telomeres. They're seeing the same type of things that I had mentioned before, but their diet does not induce any telomerase expression at all. And I have told him that, it's just, I think he doesn't. Of course, I could get myself into cease and desist letters. I just don't think he understands what I'm talking about when I say that. Yeah, there is no data whatsoever that there's any kind of diet that will lengthen telomeres, because the only way to lengthen telomeres is to induce telomerase, and there's no food on the planet that induces telomerase. If there was, we'd know it by now, because people would be having solutions to their aging for thousands of years now, and they haven't. So yeah, and what else can I say? That there's no fine. So here's what I should have said instead of saying what I did say. I should have said, ask Dean Ornish to show the data that shows that his diet plan induces the expression of telomerase. Okay, he will not have any data. Nobody will, because nobody can get that kind of data. It doesn't happen. And so the only way to lengthen telomeres is with the enzyme telomerase. And I will say there is one case of an example of where telomeres can get lengthened in the absence of telomerase, and that's only in cancer cells, never found in normal human cells, and that's called the ALT pathway. ALT stands for alternative lengthening of telomeres. And that's where telomeres start getting longer through recombination, DNA recombination. And but that's only ever been observed in 5% of cancer cells.
Okay, there's an interesting question here. Is there a percentage of shortened telomeres where TeloVital would be the most effective?
Shorter the better. The shorter they are, the smaller that ball of yarn, the more easily telomerase can get to the very tip.
So maybe I missed it. We were talking about the telomerase test, or the telomere test. There was somebody put a
telomere test, lifelink. Yeah.
All right. So what are we looking for as an alarm point? Or what are we looking for as an acceptable point?
Well, unfortunately, you can't measure the shortening, the slowing of telomere shortening. But if you have some critically short telomeres, you can, hopefully, because we're still doing this right now, you can see the shortest ones get lengthened. And that would be something that we'd expect the level of telomerase that's induced by televital to do. But yeah, I mean, okay, so we aren't doing a lot of studies on televital because we're spending all of our time looking for even more potent ingredients to put into next generations of televital.
Mm-hmm.
If we did studies on televital, by the time we got done with the studies, we'd have the next generation out. And so that's been a frustrating issue. It's like, we can't do that. I've got to spend all my time and my scientist time here working on finding more potent ingredients than televital, because our mission is to lengthen all the telomeres in all the cells. So what I've been asking people to do, like Touchstone Essentials, and some people on this call actually, to ask them to go to LifeLink and get their telomeres measured before and after, and let's generating some data that way. But of course, it's not going to be the perfect double-blind placebo-controlled study that I like to do. Like I've been through 6 or 7 clinical studies on a lot of other things I've discovered, and I would have never, ever agreed to do a clinical study like this. But in this case, in nutraceuticals, it's like you don't have really any choice. You can't, if you spend all your time trying to do studies, you can't get anything better produced. And that's our goal, is to produce a better product and come out with a new generation of televital soon. When we get to the point of having something that actually wins the tug of war, believe me, we'll do everything. We'll stop everything we're doing to do clinical studies on that.
Dr. Bill Andrews, Dr. Ziddy here is asking, can televital be taken with cancer?
Okay, well, again, I can't make medical claims, but there is one of the things I said that people can go watch videos on it. On that slide I showed, for more, go to my videos. There's one talk, and especially that I gave in 2017 in Tokyo, very, very big conference. When I got off the plane, I was surprised to see my picture on billboards, for instance. But I gave a talk there, and one of the key things I talked about was the rumors going around that telomerase causes cancer and it increases the risk of a cancer getting worse. But it's the exact opposite, and that's what I showed in this video. If people go to watch that video, they can see all the data I show. I did a critical meta-analysis of peer-reviewed studies looking at this subject. But the bottom line, what I can say is, if I had cancer, and I see Sonny just posted that video into the chat. If I had cancer, I would be doing everything I can to lengthen my telomeres, because that's going to decrease the rate of skyrocketing mutation rates, because short telomeres cause skyrocketing mutation rates. And when you have mutations, that increases the chances that cancers will become metastatic, increases the chances they'll survive whatever you treat them with. It's one of the reasons why a lot of people have relapses when they have cancer, is because of the skyrocketing mutation rates that short telomeres induce. In fact, cancers become cancer before they become immortal. So the definition of cancer is lack of growth control. And so, you know, I was National Inventor of the Year in the United States for my cancer research. So though I talk about aging a lot, I have a tremendously great background in cancer research. I've had a lot of drugs through clinical studies. One just got approved called Rytelo, R-Y-T-E-L-O. People can go Google it and learn about it. But, you know, I just wanted, because I am an expert on cancer, even though I promote myself as an anti-aging scientist. I've talked about how the fact that not only does telomerase or lengthening telomeres decrease the skyrocketing mutation rates, because I said cancer becomes cancer first by losing growth control, but then it shouldn't grow beyond a certain point because the telomere should stop it from growing. But because of the skyrocketing mutation rates, some of those cells survive and become immortal, and that's why cancers become immortal. But keeping telomeres long also boosts your immune system to make your immune system better at fighting cancer. There is I mean, I haven't seen the real peer-reviewed studies, but I've heard this a lot, even at medical conferences, that everybody gets cancer on average 7 times a day, but our immune system fights it, so we never even know it. But when your telomeres get short in your immune system, you start getting immune senescence, and you lose the ability to fight your cancers. So keeping telomeres long keeps your immune system fighting too. Now, the one thing you do not want to do, you do not want to find a way to deliver telomeres just to your cancer cells. You want to deliver it to all your cells, okay? But even if you did deliver it just to your cancer cells, if your cancers have already become immortal, and by the way, if you are over like 40 years old, and you can do the math on this, if you have a single cell in your body that becomes cancer, the telomeres in a 40-plus-year-old person are short enough that the cancer will never get larger than a small pimple, because the telomeres will cause it to have its limit on its lifespan, and it will stop dividing. But because of the skyrocketing mutations rates, it does get bigger because it mutates, and some of the cells do turn on telomerase and don't have telomere shortening. So if you have a cancer, you're over 40 and you have a cancer that is larger than a small pimple, it has already solved the the life extension, or the limit on a lifespan problem. The Hayflick limit is what I was looking for. Hayflick limit is the name for this limit on a lifespan. So that means that if you have a cancer bigger than your pimple, it's already immortal. And you can't make something more immortal than immortal. And so it's like, even if you did deliver it just to your immortal cancer cells, it's not going to make cancers any better, and any grow any faster, or kill you faster, or anything like that. It's going to be the same. But the key is that telomerase does not cause cells to divide. Telomerase only gives the cells more opportunities to divide when they need to divide. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. That's why a lot of people get false impressions about what telomerase and long telomeres can do. But that's, I don't know if it's a long answer. People should go to my video and watch the 2017 talk in Tokyo that Sonny just posted. It's actually pretty good.
Okay. All right. Is there a time that televital stops lengthening telomeres?
Well, okay, so it's always like a tug of war. And it turns out that when experiments that we've done like 30 years ago, where we would do gene therapy and introduce telomerase into cells, and then some cells would produce low levels, some would produce medium levels, some would produce high levels. What we found, and in all cases, is that the telomere length reaches a steady state. Okay, so the shorter the telomere is, the easier it is to lengthen. The longer and longer and longer it gets, the harder it becomes to lengthen. So the level of telomerase that gets produced is always going to cause telomeres to go to a steady state length. And the steady state length will be longer the more telomerase you have. Okay, so yeah, so there's going to be a point, and we don't know what that point is yet. Okay, because we aren't doing those kind of studies. We know there's something. We just want to get more potent stuff. But there's going to be some steady state where it does stop lengthening, but at least you can maintain that length at that state. And that should be really good for people. It's going to be a lot better than having a whole body filled with critically short telomeres and just being extremely unhealthy. It'll be a lot longer than critically short. I hope I answered that question.
Suppose Dr. Nario decided he wanted to begin, say, like an anti-aging practice, and use a lot of the principles that you discussed tonight. What would be a reasonable, a type of evaluation? What to look for? Where to start? What goals you would have? What's looking for some sort of practicalities that those of us out here and on the front lines can use.
Well, if you are totally limiting yourself to nutraceuticals, Televital is the most potent, and it's the only nutraceutical that actually induces telomerase expression. So I would put every patient on that. If you are somebody who's suffering from some really devastating age-related disease and your lifespan is limited to like 6 months or a year or something like that, I would recommend gene therapy, telomerase gene therapy. And that's, you can go to a company called Blvd, BIOVIVA.com, and they don't do the gene therapies, but they're like a travel agent. Okay, they will set you up to be doing gene therapies outside the country. Okay, mostly in Mexico and Colombia and things like that, where you can get telomerase gene therapy, and that's going to be a lot more potent, but it's also extremely expensive. I mean, like $1 million a dose. Okay, and it's not because they're trying to rip you off. It's because that's actually how much it costs. When I've done the estimates and trying to see how much it would cost to get my gene therapies made to high enough scale that we could treat people, that's what I was told by a company called ViralVec that's in San Jose, or used to be in San Jose. I think they're now down in Texas. But that's how much it costs to actually produce enough of the gene therapy to treat one person once. Then you also want to do a lot of testing. You don't want to do all that, spend all that money and not get any testing done. So you want to measure telomere lengths, show that they get longer. You want to measure a lot of biomarkers of aging, things like that. And you want to look at safety things, because one of the big problems is cytotoxic T cell responses, which for those of you that don't know, it's when your own body starts developing an immune response against treated cells. Okay, it also occurs in tissue transplants, that graft versus host disease is where your immune system starts attacking the new tissue. But besides the tissue transplants, it also happens with gene therapy. When you get treated with a gene therapy, a lot of people will develop an immune response against the cells that got infected with your gene therapy. And your liver transaminases start to skyrocket, and that's just the first sign, because the liver is the most sensitive to something like that, but it's affecting all the cells of your body that got infected with the gene therapy. And that's the #1 reason why people in clinical studies have died. Okay, when I say risky, it's because people have died in clinical studies because the the principal investigator wasn't really monitoring for cytotoxic T cell responses, mostly by looking at liver transaminases being elevated. And once you see that, you need to act really fast to save the patient. I've written a lot of clinical protocols on gene therapies, and I just know nobody's trying to cheat you when they tell you it's going to cost $1 million a dose.
Well, that's that kind of lets my clientele out, but Dr. Benario's people are lined up for it, but actually, I think we should let Dr. Halassa know. Remember, when he was advertising he was going to do a concierge practice for $100,000 a month concierge practice, right? So there's your $1 billion.
He's gonna like Th1, Th2,
Yeah.
T cells there that you're saying. So
Okay, anybody else have any comments or questions? It's getting on after 10:15 back east. So Dr. Andrews and Sonny, thank you so much. I'll get in touch with you about the Boston BioLife.
Dr. Gerber has a question.
Yeah, Dr. Gerber.
Hey, Michael.
He's muted.
You're muted, Dr. Gerber.
We can't hear you, Dr. Gerber.
Working on it. Thank you, guys. Great talk, Bill. Appreciate all your life's work. I always just like to put in my 2 bits of asking, well, what happens in your mix when you look at thyroid hormones, adrenal hormones, and sex hormones? So I just wonder what that mix would look like, and if any of us guys here who kind of focus on that as an anti-aging technique would ever be able to join in and help out.
Until we have further data, they're going to have to rely on you. And I want to thank you for introducing me to this group. I really enjoyed made a lot of friends and stuff like that talking with this group, and so I enjoy doing this. But yeah, but those studies haven't been done yet. They've been done in animals. I'd have to go back and look at the studies to find out what the actual results were. But I don't know. Well, I know studies have been done in animals. I don't know. I don't remember anybody looking at sex hormones or thyroid hormones or anything like that. So, but I can go do
Be
some critical
interesting to
analysis.
add that into your beautiful mix.
I will. In fact, this is how I do a lot of my stuff. Somebody asks a great question like that, and next thing you know, I'm writing a book about it.
All
So,
right.
all right.
Thanks for your great work.
Okay,
All right,
thank you
thank
for that question, Dr. Gerber. I must be slipping, right? That's usually what I ask. Okay. Well, again, yeah.
Can you talk about adaptogenic herbs like Shilajit, which helps with the hormones?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Bear Andrews?
Oh, I don't know, but Michael would probably know. Dr. Gerber would know.
No, we love Shilajit. We love all those.
Yeah.
We love to get rid of all the heavy metals and the detox and all that stuff. So
Yeah, Shilajit will boost testosterone, and androgens. So
right.
So that's
Thanks,
kind
Dr.
of where we put it. So, so there's your next book, Dr. Andrews. What's the effect of telomere length on hormones, and what is the effect of the hormones on telomeres?
All right.
Well, hormones, unfortunately, especially the hormones that induce cell division, actually accelerate telomere shortening. Yeah, because they induce cell division. But I always say, what's the point of living a long time if you're not living? And so sometimes inducing these cells to divide provides you with benefits that make life more worth living. And I just say, don't worry about it. We'll have a solution. Hey, Irina, we will have a solution to that problem if I can just continue doing my research.
Okay. All right, and
very good.
So okay. So when we're done, I just one little comment, not pertaining to this particularly. So Dr. Kevin Verlander and I have started talking about the next conference, and since it's now April, the end of almost May, before I've recovered from the last one. I'm thinking about maybe again the end of November, beginning of December. I think the week we did it was probably okay. That first week in December, was that okay for everybody?
Sure.
That'll give us plenty of time to put it together. So, Dr. Andrews, first weekend in December.
Absolutely.
Mark it in your calendar. We haven't decided where yet. I'm not sure if Reno or since we're going to keep it in Nevada, since we have the homeopaths to satisfy. So probably either here or Vegas, I guess, with one or the other. So
thank goodness.
Count me in.
So keep that in mind. And we're going to start putting that together. And a great talk. Thank you so much for being with us again. And you can be certain we're going to be calling on you again, because again, I have endless Tuesdays to fill up. Next week, I have another patient. I hope you like that format. I have another patient, a young lady. I think she's about 11 years old with a multitude of autoimmune diseases. So we're going to introduce you to her, and we're going to throw it out to our audience here to see what we can do to help her along. Okay. So that'll be next week. So I don't know about the telomere guys. An 11-year-old, is that before you're out of your age range, or?
Well, there's people that are younger than that have critically short telomeres, and autoimmune diseases are definitely connected to the length of your telomeres. The T regulatory cells have shorter telomeres in people that have autoimmune diseases. So I'm hoping that we're going to find out that lengthening telomeres can actually cure some of the autoimmune diseases.
Okay, so that'll be next week. Anybody else have any comments, questions? You got a lot of attaboys and you know, and thank yous in the chats here.
Dr. Gerber has a question.
Yes, Dr. Gerber.
Dr. Clearfield, what happened to your last patient, the little gal with the migraines?
Well, she's stable at the moment. You know, we're a little bit too soon yet to you know, to do a reevaluation, but you know, we got in touch with her about a week ago, and she said she was feeling pretty good, so we're doing okay so far. We'll see.
Right.
We'll see how that goes, and we'll take it from there. Okay. So
Are the tonsils injected yet?
are the what?
Tonsils injected yet? That was a key matter.
The tonsils were injected, not by me.
Dr. Gerber, can you do that? Hit tonsil scars or tonsils?
Sure.
He's
30
a man.
years.
Okay.
But I worry more about her poor bowel.
Well, in Germany now, that would be step one for her after what we went through. And you're the only one I know near her there, so I hope that happens.
It's, you know, not neurosurgery, as we say.
I think I need somebody to hold my hands to do it at least the first time. So
It's easy. It's easy. It's just the thought.
Well, we did with Dr. Parshian, we did inject exosomes through the cribriform plate right into the brain, and that was a little bit nerve-wracking. So I guess maybe injecting a tonsillar scar is a little less nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's easy and it's quick, and you get results within 1 minute.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that, John.
Yeah, man.
All right, okay. So if I arrange that, if we arrange to do that, I'm gonna have you on standby.
Nah, Gerber's got it, man. He's cool.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, man.
Okay. All right. Well, if we decide we're going to do that, I'll send them down to you. I'll send her down to you, Michael.
Yeah.
All right, it's the deal.
And by the way, Bill, with this format that you're talking about, including the patients, I think that is fantastic, and it's leading to a whole nother thing. So it's exceptional what's happening now. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I you know, we've done it twice. I think it's went pretty well. So
Yeah.
just a little bit different. And hopefully it's a little bit more practical, you know, for those of us again out here, you know, getting our heads chopped off every day. So okay. The question was, the patient had MS, and we did some exosomes right through the cribriform plate. Was it helpful? Nah, I'm not so sure. I mean, she's still fairly, unfortunately, her caretaker was her husband, passed away, so she's had a hard time of it. She's kind of living alone. And so my next thought is we might try the Coimbra protocol with her, the high dose vitamin D that we presented here a couple of months ago. So okay, so there's stem cells are better. Okay, and do you have data? So I don't know if you're okay. So anyway, that's where we're at as far as those are concerned. Anything, you have anything to add, Dr. Nario?
No, I'm not gonna give it away. We're gonna wait for your patient case.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we've done ivermectin. We've done fairly high dose ivermectin on her. We've done it all. We've done the mast cell stuff. And she gets a little better, gets a little worse. Somebody asking about calling. Anybody can call me. So, yeah, please have her call me. Do you have my number? So. Here's my email. This is my phone and my office. Okay. All right. All right. And if I can't help her, we got lots of folks that are we got a lot of good brains here. So okay. What got anything else coming up, Dr. Nario?
My next conference would be actually, it's going to be international. I'm going to be doing a tele, I guess, talk for the Philippines. So that would be in June.
Is
So I'm getting ready
that
for that.
online, or are you going there?
Oh no, online. It's going to be hard for me to fly out.
Okay. Okay. And then so Dr. Andrews, we got the longevity conference May 15th to 17th in Dallas, correct? And
I'm also speaking at AMMG in Las Vegas. I'm in December. I hope that doesn't overlap with your early November,
well,
December.
check the date for us. Which one is that?
AMMG, American
Oh
Medical.
no, that's in October. I'm a star there. It's October 7th.
Okay, I thought he said December.
No, it's October. No, I was there 2 weeks ago, and that's I'm one of the main cogs there. So, well, sort of a cog. So, it's October 7th to 11th.
I'm also speaking in Portugal online, coming up in a few weeks. Sonny's actually going to Portugal to attend that conference at the
Is he going to retire?
Unicorn Conference.
Is he going to retire? I hear you go to retire there.
Yeah, that's a lot. I heard the life, it costs very little to live there. And then I can't remember all my conferences, but it's like
Yeah. Okay. Oh, by the way, tomorrow night I'm on for Dr. Farshian. I'm doing Dr. Farshian's thing tomorrow night. If anybody's got nothing better to do than spend another 2 hours online here after working all day. So, and then I will be at the IFM May 30th. I'm doing endocrinology of mental health at IFM, and they're giving me agita about my slideshow because I like to make things like colorful and whatnot, and they want everything plain and boring. So I have to dumb it down for them. So with that, there's the Boston BioLife Summit, and the May 15th to 17th. IFM is May 27th to the 30th. Dr. Nario will let you know about his thing. So, and so thank you all. Anybody else have any? If they have any, and if you're participating in anything, please let us know. We can we can put it in the newsletter, the weekly newsletter, to send out to our we send out 4,000 emails 4 times a week. So somebody looks at it. Somebody will look at it at some point. So okay, I think that's quite enough. 2.5 hours. Thank you all. Any last words, Dr. Andrews?
none.
Okay.
Thank you
for sticking with us, and thank your guests, by the way. You let them know. So Miss Stella, we're here, and your other guests, we're here every Tuesday at 5:00. Same Zoom link. If you're at all interested, let me know. Send us a contact, and we'll make sure you get information on it. Okay, and we want to.
Okay. I would like my brother to get in on this because his daughter is the one with that issue, and
Okay.
I've suggested a couple of things. She sees somebody up in Boston, but she, they said she wasn't going to live to be 21 years old, and she's now 22, and she's working up at the old CMC, now Geisinger, up in Scranton, because she wants to help people that have the same thing that she has. And he would know the technical term of what autoimmune disease she has. I'm not sure, but I would love for him to give you a call. So I think I will.
You tell her she's working at the old CMC. I was an ER doctor at CMC from 1982 to 1988.
Okay. Well, my brother's a PA for orthopedic surgeons up there.
CMC stands for Community Medical Center. It was one of the
Right.
big hospitals in Scranton. So
Right, but it's Geisinger now. Geisinger took it
yeah, I
over.
know. Geisinger's got everything. They got the medical school too.
Yeah, they do.
I know.
Absolutely.
I know. They're like a Hydra, you know, taking over. So,
Yeah. Right.
so
Okay, but thank you so much. That was great.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Jeanette, we'll talk about maybe Ranchero also. So I have, you know,
Yeah, just let me
Okay.
know.
I'll let you
Thank-
know.
thank
Okay,
you.
so we're just sort of getting it together now, and we're going to put the program together. Okay.
What happens at Ranchero?
Well, Jeanette has an in at the Ranchero, so maybe you know we're looking to put you know where we're going to have the next one.
So maybe it may host the next meeting,
Yeah.
the next
So
gathering conference.
we'll see. We had a little bit of a culture shock, price shock from the last time I ran a thing, which was 3 years ago, to what this hotel cost us this year. So we'll see. We'll get it all together.
Did you ever look into the Genomind that I mentioned to you? The saliva test that tests for genetic SNPs that can be really priceless in helping people with psych issues.
Did I know?
Yeah, because you mentioned you're going to be giving a talk about it.
Well, I'm just talking about, I'm doing strictly hormones.
Yeah, I know. Just along for your own
Mhm.
interest, was really very helpful
Okay.
in,
Uh,
directing care.
okay. All right. Do you have a contact for them?
Uh, Not a direct contact. I don't think I have a rep or anything, just genomind.com.
General line. Okay. Got it.
So I haven't run any here, I don't think.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yes, cheek swab.
Mhm.
I think it also helps with taking some of the blame away when people have psych issues. Like if they've got a SNP that's, causing things to happen in their brains, it helps take away some of the blame.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, we know. So
Yeah, but it helps them.
yeah. Well, when we find out they have thyroid issues, and that's why they're they're
Autoimmune. Back in the old days, they used to
Yeah.
treat bipolar with thyroid supplements.
Well, you can't do that now. We went to you missed the endocrine conference.
Oh, that's true. I did.
You
Yeah,
missed the endocrinology for non-endocrinologists at the
I
Atlantis.
did. I'm sorry about that. I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
I
First
did.
thing they told us was anybody who orders a reverse T3 is an internet idiot.
Okay.
No endocrinologist orders a reverse T3, and nobody needs iodine.
Oh boy. Yeah, even if they're not eating iodized salt anymore, right?
Right? Yeah, I mean, I had somebody today. We were doing iodine levels on everybody at least
Just
once.
do a urine,
I
like
got a zero. I got a 0.
You did.
Yeah, not me.
Wow.
I mean, the patient had.
Oh, a patient.
Yeah, an
Okay.
iodine of 0, right?
Wow.
And it was triple checked. So I guess they don't need that, right?
No, not really. I mean, they're walking around breathing and talking, right? So
Yeah.
they don't need it if they have 0 and they look fine.
Okay. All right. We'll talk. It's getting late. We'll talk about that another time.
All right, sounds
Okay.
good.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so
Night.
much. Thank your guests, Dr. Andrews and Sonny, and we'll be speaking with you shortly. Good night, everybody. Next week, patient. Her first name is Paisley, by the way.
Cool.
So we're gonna have Paisley on, and she's 11 years old. So
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you then. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.